Mehdi Hasan has been on Piers Morgan's show a couple of times, but this is the first time that Piers Morgan's been on Mehdi Hasan's show. And to be fair, if you're not this is not your jam, I could do another 3 or 4 or 5 clips very easily, which I've restrained myself from. So let's go through some. I
subscribed to this channel today. It's fucking
same.
Gold.
Zeteo. Yeah.
So much.
Yeah. Thank you, patrons. This is thanks to the patrons. So we subscribed. So have you watched this? Did you watch this when you subscribed?
I've seen clips. I haven't seen the whole thing.
So let's keep going, right? Because the thing I love about Mehdi is he makes me feel good about the questions we've been asking, Chewy. He gets to ask Piers Morgan finally, after all those people, if you guys are long-time watchers or listeners, you'll have heard us say this, when everyone always has to go, do you denounce Hamas? Do you denounce Hamas? Yes, yes, yes. But no one ever says, do you denounce Israel for flattening hospitals? That's where we start between Mehdi Hasan and Piers Morgan.
So let me start by asking you a version of that question. Do you condemn Benjamin Netanyahu's terrorism against the children of Gaza?
Well, I wouldn't categorize it as you do as terrorism, although I do think that they've committed some acts which I do think are acts of terrorists. For example,
so hang on, they're not terrorists, but there's been acts
just do a terrorism.
They just do terrorism, but they're not terrorists. It's like how you know your granddad kind of goes, I'm not a racist, and then expletive or various slurs come out. But I'm not a racist. But you say racist, but I'm not a racist. That's the same kind of logic.
Aggressive, violent expansion on the settlements on the West Bank. I think you could inarguably say, well, that's a form of terrorism. My hesitation in using that categorization for what Israel has done in Gaza is that, as I've said to the Palestinian guests, I'm not sure how else people expected or how else the Israeli government should have responded to the terror attack of October the 7th.
So let's just work this through. I'm not sure how anyone should have expected them to respond. Now let's change Israel for that and put, say, ISIS in there or Al-Qaeda. Like, let's say America's bombing ISIS, and therefore ISIS sets up terror cells to take down America. Do you think there's a defense which kind of goes, well, how do you expect ISIS to respond? Of course not. Of course not. That's why it's such a terrible argument from this man who, through these clips you're going to see, is going to tie himself up in knots to try and acknowledge the bad war, bad events that Israel is participating in, while still not condemning them.
The monumental scale of what happened that day. It seemed to me Hamas knew exactly what Israel would do, didn't care about its civilians, was hiding amongst them, had a tunnel system, and thought, bring it on, let's have this out. So I've always felt that Israel not only had a right to defend itself, but had a moral duty to defend its people.
By killing Palestinian kids?
Well, listen, my brother served tours of Iraq and Afghanistan in the British Army, as did my brother-in-law. There are military all through my family. They've all taken...
Did they do war crimes?
Piers probably had bone spurs. That's why he didn't do it. He probably had bone spurs from his younger days.
Part in conflicts where civilians, including children, have been killed. I think the particular problem in Gaza is that half the population are under 18, of 2 million, and that clearly a disgusting amount of children have been killed in this conflict. So my answer to your question, I wouldn't categorize it as terrorism to respond to a terror attack by going to kill the terrorists. However, has it got completely unacceptable, the level of civilian death that has been going on in Gaza, particularly children? I say yes, and this has to stop.
What is the acceptable level of death?
Well, I don't know. That's why I've always said from the start.
This so echoes, we didn't get into it in that depth, but that so echoes the conversation we showed last night with Sam Cedar and Tim Pool. It's like, okay, so if this is not acceptable, what is? And they go one level, one step down, one level down question, can't answer it.
What is proportionate? What do people expect people to do? I mean, for example, when America, after 9/11, went into Iraq, as you know, I waged a campaign at the Daily Mirror newspaper against it. I thought it was an illegal...
But you haven't waged a campaign against this?
Well, because the point about Iraq was they didn't perpetrate 9/11. Nothing to do with it. So it's
about the goal, not the conduct of the war. I'm asking you about the conduct.
Yeah,
right? I don't want to have an argument about the goals.
I understand.
I'm saying if you kill, for example, you saw the video, because I know you were on social media as much as I am, a video that Washington Post verified of a little kid, 13 years old, is attacked by a drone.
I haven't seen this, but this sounds horrific. Not just to the Israeli Defense Force kill a child, but then they kill the people coming along to help that child after
I've
the
seen
child's been hit by a drone. I haven't seen it, but it sounds. If
Don't-
you've seen it, Drew, is it
don't
accurate?
look for it.
No,
Don't
no, I'm
look
not.
for
I
it.
haven't looked for it.
This is accurate. It's
Yeah, all right.
horrific. I've
Interesting.
seen so many drone strikes over the past year. I don't think I'll be the same again. And that one shook me.
Video that Washington Post verified of a little kid, 13 years old, is attacked by a drone, minding his own business. He's not Hamas. There's no Hamas hiding behind him. He's attacked. As he's bleeding out and people come to help him, they attack again. That's a double tap. It's what Al Qaeda and ISIS do, double tap strike. How is that not an act of terror?
Well, because
2 kids are killed deliberately.
I've seen a lot of videos. Some of them are.
But that one specifically, is that an act of terror in your view?
It is in your eyes.
No, I'm asking your view.
Well, no, I haven't seen the one you're talking about. What I would say about it is that I want to see all of these things properly investigated and to establish whether there have been war crimes committed. And if there have been, absolutely hold the people who perpetrated it to account.
How?
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 Yeah.
They don't subscribe to the International Criminal Court. They won't allow people to be extracted to The Hague or something like that. How do we hold Israel to account for the things that they've done? I love that question of how many children are acceptable.
Yeah, what would be
And I would
proportional?
extrapolate that out. How many aid workers? How many journalists? How many hospitals? How many refugee camps? What's an acceptable level of collateral damage in this regard when you have a top tier, one of the most militarily advanced countries on the planet waging war on essentially a city, one of the most densely popular, well, formerly densely populated places on earth? What's acceptable? Should we as an international community demand absolutely surgical reactions from Israel? Yes. Israel was able to hold on to their bottle for weeks and weeks and weeks after Iran attacked them with a missile barrage because they wanted to make sure that they hit their targets and they didn't want to escalate things. So they can hold off when they need to, but they knew that if they kicked up enough of a stink and made enough lies about what happened on October 7th, that no one was going to come rushing to the aid of these Muslims. And I think that sits with the entirety of the international community, as we've wrung our hands and our various governments have said, oh, look, as an international rules-based order, we have some serious concerns and we're urging Israel to show some restraint. Well, Israel is soaked in the blood of children and going, yeah, we're not listening to you. Fuck off.
There's a really good chunk of this conversation. And look, to watch it in its entirety, and I'm actually going to be careful here because I wouldn't want to get a copyright strike or anything. To watch it in its entirety, you need to be a patron, I guess it is, or a behind their membership wall. They have a really good debate backwards and forwards about genocide. It probably goes for about 10 minutes of the overall 35-minute clip. So you're going to have to go and check that out. But there is a 1-minute clip from the end of it where Mehdi Hasan is talking to Piers Morgan about his inconsistency on genocide. That's what this clip is.
Holocaust historians like Omar Bartov and Amos Goldberg, Ariel Naya, some of the experts on Holocaust say it is a genocide.
Yeah, but a lot of experts say it's not a genocide.
That's not actually some of the
I hate saying this, but in a minute, Piers Morgan's going to say, I've got experts. And Mehdi Hasan, who is, we've almost got, we should build a little shrine to him back there. But he doesn't go, can you name some? And it's just the one thing that would have been perfect. Who are these experts that you're naming from the other side that aren't deep within the IDF themselves?
Holocaust experts are all lining up
you might have
in one direction.
You've got your experts. I've seen many other experts who say it's not genocide. So you can,
Right there. Who? Name them. Who are they? What is their background?
Look, I just find it fascinating that you'll call every other conflict which has fewer deaths than Gaza genocide. But for some reason,
you're
fewer
very deaths in Syria.
There were in February 2012, I checked. You said it was a genocide in February 2012. See, I do my homework. I checked. 7,500 people in Syria being killed at that point. You said genocide. 45,000 people in Gaza. You say not genocide.
Well, it comes down to what you think the intent is of the people perpetrating.
You don't think they're trying to erase northern Gaza right now?
I think what they're doing.
Are you seeing what's happening in northern Gaza?
Here's what I think they're doing. I think Israel genuinely believe what they're trying to do is eliminate Hamas, who they perceive to be a terrorist
I think you're
organisation.
speaking on behalf of Israelis who aren't saying
Well,
that. They're making it very clear it's not just about Hamas. They're seizing territory in Gaza. They're planning to, some of them are planning to resettle in Gaza. And right now, northern Gaza, according to the UN humanitarian chief, everyone is at risk of dying, Piers. Everyone. That's the words of the UN humanitarian chief.
Don't misunderstand me. I think what's happening in Gaza is horrific.
You just won't say genocide?
No. You ask me if it's genocide. I don't think it is. And you ask me if it's terrorism. I don't think it is.
There you go. So that's clip number 2, Chu. Thoughts?
Piers Morgan's an absolute idiot.
Yeah.
To not call what's happening in Gaza a genocide. Let's be real here. Like, the amount of women and children that have been killed. Like, they've wiped out entire bloodlines, multi-generational families.
Yeah.
They have burned records. They have taken out doctors, nurses, professors. They've burned records. They have destroyed universities and education. Like, it is, they are waging war on a culture. It is a genocide.
Yeah.
And even in the earliest days, I wouldn't have gone this far. It's about the land.
Yeah. And
they will cut Gaza in half at least. They will turn it into a car park, and they will build, and they will sell real estate. They will sell beachfront property. And if we let them get away with it in 30 years' time, who were the Palestinians? Who were the people of Gaza? We don't know.
Yeah. No, very good. Now, there's other parts of this conversation. I'm not going to play them all. There was another clip we could have done, which is Piers Morgan has a really interesting interaction where Mehdi Hasan challenges him on his views around Trump. So on the 7th of January, after the riots at the Capitol building, Piers wrote an article basically which says all the things that we would think of Trump today. I'm done with Trump. You know, this was criminal act, like the worst of the worst. And so they spent a couple of minutes talking about what's changed then. What's changed from what you thought on the 7th? Why is he more mentally stable today than he was on the 7th? A great interaction. Go and watch the whole thing. I guess you got to subscribe to Zeteo. When you come and subscribe to us first, and then go and subscribe. But there is a part that we will watch because it's only about 90 seconds or so, and it's after that has happened. He challenges Piers, asking if Trump's racist, and this is that conversation.
So you said you went to the rally yesterday.
Yes.
They said Puerto Rico is a garbage island.
Yeah.
Black
the comedian
people
made a series of stupid, dumb jokes.
Trump's childhood friend said Kamala is the Antichrist and the devil. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't.
Immigrants being brought in as a Democratic plan to replace American voters. This is a kind of neo-Nazi.
Notice he didn't answer that one. Did you notice, folks? That's the great replacement theory. Piers Morgan goes, as in he's acknowledging the question was asked, but he doesn't answer the question.
Brought in as a Democratic plan to replace American voters. This is a kind of neo-Nazi great replacement rhetoric. Immigrants are invading and occupying the UK. Invasion is what Nick Griffin, for the British people watching, you and I know who Nick Griffin is, far-right neo-Nazi language of invasion. That's what Trump used. So when I make these allegations, I have evidence and facts to back them up. You avoid the facts. So when I say to you, for example, is Trump a racist? Yes or no?
I don't think he is. No.
So why does he say racist stuff?
I don't think he's a racist. I've known him.
No. Why does he say racist stuff? Why does he say racist stuff, Piers?
Mehdi, I don't know.
But he does say racist stuff. Can we agree on that? No, it's a simple question.
It's a genuine form of
all right, let's go through it then. Facts. He said four women of colour in Congress. They should go back to where they came from. Is that racist?
I'm not going to do this with you.
Why?
Because I don't think he's a racist.
Evidence. I didn't ask if he's a racist. I said, is this statement a racist?
It's just vibes here.
And you've dodged it, so now I'm asking
just vibes.
I'm not going to go over everything
Piers,
he's
you and I
ever
are sitting
said.
in America, but from the UK. I'm allowed to follow up
He's
question.
so racist that more black and Latino people are going to vote for him now than ever
man.
before. It's not.
It's not dealing with
They
the
don't think
evidence.
he's
That's not
racist.
how racism is defined by
I don't
opinion
think
poll.
he's racist.
Was
Sorry.
Okay, so I'm rephrasing the question. It's called a follow-up. You know this. You've been at an interview longer than me. When he told four women of colour to go back to where they came from, was that racist in your view?
I can't remember the quote.
He told Ilhan Omar, AOC,
Okay.
Ayanna Pressley.
How much of a cop out is that? You imagine sitting on Piers Morgan's set, Piers Morgan's sharing a fact, and you going, I haven't heard of that before. Would he go, oh, that's fine, we'll just move on then? Of course he wouldn't. Of course he wouldn't, and he shouldn't.
Quote.
He told Ilhan Omar, AOC,
Okay.
Ayanna Pressley to go back on Twitter. It was very famous.
Okay.
It was a huge...
If that's what he
Republicans
said,
together,
then that would seem to me to be racially insensitive. Yes.
but not racist.
I don't think
Just
he's a
can't
racist.
say it,
That's all
can
I
he?
asked.
No.
Well, you did ask me that.
But
actually.
now I'm asking.
It's fun. It's like you also can't say genocide when it comes to Israel. You can't say racist. He can't say racist when it comes to Trump. He can say genocide when it comes to all sorts of other places, which is part of this conversation, but not when it comes to Israel.
I'd even give him credit for saying, yes, that is racist. That what he said was racist, but I don't believe he is a racist.
Yeah. But then, but of course, if you say that is racist, then you're stuck in the trap of, well, who says racist things? Racists do. This has only got 15 seconds, then we'll get out of it.
Is it racist to tell 4 women of colour to go back to their
I
countries?
did look. Here's
It's
my-
a very simple question. You don't want to answer because you know it's racist, Piers.
No, I think he has said racially insensitive comments.
That's a cop-out.
But I don't think he's a racist.
Uncensored Piers Morgan can't say the R word.
And for those who don't know, that's the name of Piers Morgan's show. Piers Morgan Uncensored. So
Look,
there you go. Just 3 clips from it. Go and check it out. Zeteo.com, I think, is the website or the Substack, and it's well worth a support.
I would say, you know, like even if he believes that Trump is not racist, then look at the people that he has surrounded himself with in the past.
Yeah.
Steve Bannon, that guy that looks like Skeletor, and Joseph Goebbels had a bastard child. Stephen Miller.
Miller, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Miller. Like both of those guys have literally been operating in the circles of neo-Nazism, like Stormfront and that those sort of organizations. You can look at people that have endorsed him, like David Duke. It's just mental. It's like, okay, cool. He's not racist. Why do racists like him? Why are there racists in his cabinet? Avowed racists. What?
And also,
why?
but now go the other way. All of those people who surrounded himself, who they may be right-wing, horrible people, but they wouldn't quite step into that authoritarian, racist place. 40 out of 44 of them will have either said they will not endorse him and they will not vote for him. So go the other side. He's surrounding himself with these dark people who have stayed. Not saying that all the other people are light, but you know, the ones that weren't as dark have all run away and said, this guy's too dangerous, we are not going to support him. So I think that's about that side of it as well.
I forget the guy's name, but he has a fantastic moustache. But and he was in Trump's cabinet, and he's like, we must keep him out. He is damaging to the country. I want the Republican Party to return to a Reaganite Republican Party. And I was like, that does sound horrible, but not as horrible as what it is now.
If Kim is correct, I withdraw and apologize. See, that's how it works, Piers. That's what you do. Withdraw and apologize.